Dude. No, I was just saying.
What's up? So, guys, we are live. I am here with Anthony Sarandrea, my boy. We were just talking about how excited we are to kind of just chat it up and how much we enjoy kind of these communications and stuff. Anthony is a very interesting situation here because I had originally started to work with him. He contacted me to buy leads. And his numbers were so high, like he said, like his volume was so high. I was like, okay, dude's full of shit, and basically kind of half blew him off. It was very expensive and very high volume. I just didn't buy it. And then come full circle, I met his partner. I called bullshit on him, and then I literally flew to Arizona to see what these dudes were all about and verified with obviously with them, but also people that buy leads from them that they were really doing the volume of leads they're doing in the most competitive spaces that there are. Like financial lead gen in the United States is the most competitive space. And I have never seen somebody do this many calls a day as long as I've done it outside of TV and radio, but from the web, it's impossible. And, he's really been sharing a lot with how he does it, especially based on SEO as opposed to Facebook, which is like a super pain point for me. So I think he's going to be super applicable for Barcelona. Long intro, but you deserve it, dude. What's up, brother? Where are you at?
So I'm in Newport Beach today. I'm hanging out, getting out of the 115-degree Arizona weather. Get a little break.
Newport is like one of my favorite places, man. It's just good life out there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yo, swing it around and show the background. Where are you? Like at a Starbucks?
Or- yeah, I'm just at a coffee shop right out here. Water's about 3 blocks that way.
Dude.
Just hanging out, bothering some people probably.
Listen, I'm in France. I'm on the 4th floor, like really normally 5th floor, okay? I don't have any air conditioning. Zero. France is miserable right now, so I'm glad you are
hot out there.
I'd rather be, no air conditioning. All right, dude, let's get into it now. Just right off the top, what was the original business that you were in that you had mentioned that kind of just burned down and forced you to go more to the SEO side? Tell me what's up with that.
Yeah, great question. We were making massive media buys basically when people were texting in and subscribing to whether it's sports updates, weather updates, ringtones, anything like that. So someone would search on Google New York Knicks score or something like that. We'd run some pay-per-click ads and people would come through and say text, XYZ to get daily updates or to get, updates for, daily would be more like a weather, but like get updates from the game, things like that. People would text them.
Was this a pin submit?
Yeah, they literally text 58 blank whatever.
This was a white hat pin submit.
Yeah, and then it got a little. What would happen is it would bill through the actual carriers themselves. So we got up to when we got shut down, we were on pace to do about $500 million in rev, and what ended up happening is people would in the fine print, it was reoccurring billing, but because you didn't receive a bill from us, it was on your carrier bill. People ignored it. People don't look at that. So all of a sudden it goes 6-7 months, and they're like, "Oh, I've been paying for weather updates for 7 months. What's going on, Verizon? What's going on, Sprint? Whatever it is, AT&T." And then the carriers, out of publicity, sued us. We ended up settling for pennies, and then. But long story short, that company shut down. So 2 lessons. One was the getting into something a little bit more long term, if you will, versus with technology moving and versus the subscribe for text message updates, things like that. People had obviously had a lot more access to just look up scores and look up things like that. So knowing that was coming to an end, that's one lesson, and why we're in some of the verticals or some of the things we do now. And then 2 was actual SEO versus media buys, and I think I've learned that lesson more over the last few years, even then in that business, just because whether it's Facebook or Google AdWords costs rising. I remember when DUI lawyer clicks were a couple bucks.
I know SEO makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But like, how long does it take to make money? Like media buying, you're probably going to lose on campaigns. You're going to lose the money for a while. It's going to take you a time to like even break even, but then you can make money pretty quick. What does SEO look like?
Yeah, great question. I mean, one of the things I'm going to talk about is how to cut that time curve, which is essentially buying time. So versus, getting a domain and building up the authority on it. If you're able to find under monetized sites, really, or sites that rank for maybe they're like ancillary keywords or something like that versus your money keywords that you're able. It's the same demographic, but they're in a less competitive space for some of the keywords that they're ranking for.
Okay.
And turn that strategy, or boost some of the technical SEO, things like that, to be able to get it to rank higher and eventually start ranking for your, we'll call it money keywords. But as far as being able to turn around on a site we acquire, we're usually able to recoup our investment within the first 3 to 6 months, depending on the site.
Wow.
From there, it's profits from there. So.
Wow, that's a huge thing. So, when did you get into, or like when the media buy thing stopped? When the media buy thing stopped, and I know you still buy media, not normal media, but you still also work with regular paid traffic, right? When did you first be like, SEO instead of paid traffic? Because obviously I'm a paid traffic guy, and a lot of the people out there I know are paid traffic guys. When was like the aha moment where you're like, ooh.
The quality? It was right when I saw, you go from like we'll just take a modern day, fast forward to today, a Facebook lead or a phone call versus a SEO. You get an SEO caller that'll sometimes call in and they're like, we're ready to sign up, we're ready to go to service, where a Facebook one might be like, what is this? Oh, it was the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like they didn't fully understand because they just maybe come to an ad, to a lander, or even like a lead ad, even lower quality, things like that. So I think that's when it really clicked for me, just as far as, that long-term thinking is just seeing the quality of the leads coming through, or lifetime value of some of the sales for our e-commerce brands, things like that.
When I was in the call center business, SEO was the holy grail. It's the best. Yeah. It's the best that there is because it's heavy on information. So they're like pre-sold. They were looking for it. They probably even looked and researched it for a while. Like someone who looks at SEO sites, they don't reach out and are ready to buy until it's done. They've done their research. So it's just like, the stakes are. I loved SEO.
I agree.
I guess my next question for you is, and to let everybody else understand, Anthony does forms, but he also does pay-per-call, which is something else I was heavily involved with and have a lot of respect for, because it's a whole different level of lead gen. Basically, pay-per-call is just inserting a 1-800 number on your page, whether it's with dynamic number insertions to track the optimization, or you just raw dog it, just put a 1-800 number in there to collect the revenue. The calls are worth more than the form leads, because you got 100% contact rate as opposed to a 50% contact rate, right? So they could be worth even double. The problem as a lead generator is the call's value expires in like 30 seconds. It's not like it's a form lead or a pixel fucked up or something didn't post. You can just reprocess it. If you're not set up, you're just burning cash. I love pay-per-call because people love it. Buyers love it and stuff. But it's always been really hard. Anthony, why did you pick pay-per-call?
Yeah, I think it comes back to, again, for us, we think, let's just call it as a lead generator. You make money on the sale of a form or the sale of a phone call. But again, getting back to that long-term thinking, what's actually going to convert better for whether we're doing the servicing of the lead or our buyers, what's going to be a higher quality lead for them and more long-term. We obviously a hot lead on the phone, we're able to sell them directly there versus chasing down. So I think a lot of it came from just feedback on difficulty to get in touch with the form fill. Someone fills out a form, they forget they did it. They might have a 30% connection rate with the person or contact rate of all the forms that we send them, or on the low end or something like that.
How did you know this? How did you understand the way call centers work? Like, how did you understand the already complaints about contact rate of leads?
Yeah, great question. A lot of it came from whether it's our agency clients that we work with to be able to get feedback on, or B, even just doing some of the servicing. I think you and I joked. I was in the car with your business partner, and I said, I was 15, 16, going door to door, knocking, selling solar panels. And he's like, "Oh, you've been in the lead gen space that long?" I go, "No, I was just selling." And he goes, "No, that's lead gen." I go, "Yeah, you're right, I guess, huh?" So I guess just even understanding it, just
that you were a solar door knocker is crazy. I forgot about this. That's right, dude.
It is funny, especially with the space you operate in, obviously.
Dude, listen, can I tell you something? Canvassers, door knockers is still that's the holy grail of a solar company. Solar companies brag about how big their door knocker squad is, because like as good as Facebook targeting is and everything else, there's just some people who aren't on Facebook. So the only that aren't even on the internet, but there are those people out there. Those door knockers have the lowest CPA. They close all their deals. That's so funny.
Yep, it is hilarious.
Yo, let's see. Let me just say what's up to the people that are coming up in the chat. When I use this Be Live,
please do.
When I use this Be Live thing, it doesn't let me see it. Flawed, what's up? Ed O'Keefe, what's up, buddy? Brian Skelly, Beast with Click to Call, definitely. Jose Ochoa.
What's up, Brian? How you doing, bro?
All right. So let me go back a second. On the pay-per-call side, staying along in that kind of vein there, right?
Yep, I'm listening to. I'm just plugging in.
That's okay. I'll chill for you. Actually, I'm going to update this agenda here. I got to get better at this. Agenda.
All right, we're rocking.
You know how bad I spell. Paper call lead gen discussion. All right. Yeah, this I'm playing with this this software to broadcast, and you can do all this like funky shit on it. You know, you can
I
write.
like it. Yeah, you're throwing stuff up on the screen and so on and everything. Like,
yeah, dude, it's like so pro.
I like it.
I'm so proud of myself when I rock this shit. Let me see. I'm so technically, you know how technically savaged I am.
Yep.
There we go. Look, pay-per call lead gen.
Boom. There it is, baby.
So listen, with the pay-per-call side, has tracking been a bitch? Are you just like running off of Google Analytics, or are you using like how are you able to attribute the revenue properly or attribute the calls properly?
Yeah, great question. A lot of it is analytics, and then we're also using a platform called Ringba that's really phenomenal. They've helped us a lot being able to track whether it's keyword pooling or just setting up segmented numbers for whether it's ad or lander or anything like that too. And so I agree, it's not as cut and dry as forms, but I think we do a pretty darn good job of being able to track back and attribute where it's coming from through it.
Let's go fully geek on this because I don't even give a shit. I can go deep on this paper call shit with you. Yo, talk to me about keyword pooling, dude, and talk to me about the software that you're using. When I left the game, it was all dynamic number and search. Call routing. I was using Dialog Tech. I was optimizing for routing. I had just started to use the dynamics to track like ad set performance and stuff on Facebook, original analytics. Talk to me about the keyword pooling. Like, what is this functionality?
Yeah, for sure. It came in a little lag.
Oh, sorry.
Great question, and I'm not sure if it's my connection or yours, but I think I caught most of that. But yeah, keyword pooling is phenomenal because it basically, it's swapping out. Let's say there's 8, 10 numbers, 50 numbers, whatever it is, depending on how much traffic you get into the site. It's going to swap out a number specific to that visitor that comes to the site, track them all the way through what they're doing, and then when they actually dial that number and make that call, or they click to call it off the lander if they're on mobile, whatever it is, it's going to pull back exactly where they came from. Whether if it's an AdWords ad, it's going to tell you the keyword, it's going to tell you the ad itself that it pulled from, time of day, device, all that. And that can all be tracked through analytics. So all of a sudden now it's firing, a conversion or a goal within the analytics platform as well too. So now you can watch the entire, reverse goal path, where that person came from, what source they first entered from, things like that. So it's really powerful. It's great. And then the software, the platform itself, it's phenomenal. And we've used CallRail, we've used Invoco, we've used a few different ones, and they're good. But Ringba, for what we're doing specifically, is really phenomenal. They have a really nice interface, dashboard, make it real easy to understand.
Tell me how to spell it.
Where your calls are originating from.
RINGBA.
Sure. RINGBA, I believe. Yep, and I'm just confirming. Yep, that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, if any of you guys are running pay-per-call, or you're trying to figure out like how to take lead gen to the next level, and also I'll throw it in there as a side note. I think pay-per-call is not as scrutinized as data collection for lead generation. I really don't. I think with all this Cambridge Analytica shit, it is basically what we do is raw data collection, and I think that's why lead gen has been getting hit so hard. You don't see the same level of tightness very often with the pay-per-call stuff. I think that's why student loan ran for so long. So if you want to take your pay-per-call game up, or you want to, just improve quality, keep buyers easier, all that shit, you have amazing tracking capabilities now. You can like fire conversions back to a has offers or even a thrive or a volume if you're tricky. You can connect the whole thing together now, so you know exactly where your money's and conversions coming from with your ad sets or ad campaigns or whatever. Let's talk about retargeting the SEO traffic. What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, great question. I mean, think of it like I always put it in layman's terms, like an email funnel where if they take a certain action, they're going to see a certain, let's say you send out your email blast, right? We'll call that just the first introduction to someone, or someone subscribes to your email list. Let's call that's their first introduction to our SEO sites. Now, if they're not actually buying from us, or they're whatever action we want to take, calling in, filling out a form, whatever that is, depending on the level of content they're looking at. So in a simple level, let's just take how to save money when you go shopping, right? Versus here's what mortgage refinancing is, and here's the steps to it, and here's who you should call. So if they've only viewed, let's just call it the shopping list level, all of a sudden now we're going to put them through a retargeting funnel that's going to look very similar to like an email list where someone didn't open it. Now they're going to get another softer action if they did open the email, or they opened it but they didn't click through. Like if we're getting back to the email analogy, they might still get a softer one versus here you need to call in for mortgage refi or something like that, if that makes sense. So essentially it's bringing people through depending on what actions they're taking or level of content. So we group ours on cold, warm, and hot pieces of content, right? So if someone, like again, the shopping list would be like a cold level. Download a guide on how to save money would be like and they spend a certain time on that page, might be like a warm level. If they read here's what mortgage refinance is, that's going to be a hot level versus individual. So they're going to get grouped into different campaigns, whether it's on Facebook or display or YouTube, things like that.
Dude, this is why you're crushing it, bro. Honestly, this is really the next level shit. If I'm understanding it correctly, so I'm going to repeat it to you, right? So you got different types of copies that are like different levels of the funnel. Some are softer, some are heavier. And then you're tailoring this messaging to these segments. Yeah, of course you're crushing it, dude. I mean, it's like it's really tight, dude. It's really, really tight. How long did it take you to become, do you think, like proficient or good at? What was the learning curve on SEO like this?
You know what, dude? It's been awesome over the last few years because it's gone from a lot more of like what kind of demons can you have in the basement that are tweaking lines of code to make you pop in the rankings, to a lot more to just what actually makes sense, what's actually good, useful content. So a lot of just good sales copywriters, their stuff started to rank a lot more because people are able to, and not necessarily even like what's like real sales copy, but even just whether it's from headlines. So within Google search results, what's the title tag? Is that written like an AdWords headline, or is it things like that? The meta descriptions, things like is that written to pull someone on a search from over to the site? The copy on it as well too, like I mentioned, how useful is their video? Is the video actual of value? Is the content of value? Time on page? Like those types of metrics we're seeing are actually what's starting to get people, not starting to, but it's what's helping us rank. It's just time on page, actions people are taking, number of pages they're viewing versus before. It might be like, did you shove 10,000 backlinks from India to the site? You know what I mean? Going back, whatever it is, a decade or so ago. So it's become a lot more of just natural and a lack of, in layman's terms. And I know that's not the sexiest answer, but it's the right answer. It's just what's actual good content is what's ranking. You get an actual, useful placement on a backlink that actually drives, not only is it a referral source to potential sales and leads, but it becomes a good backlink, and it ultimately needs to be a good referral source. And what I mean by that is it's congruent, right? The audiences make sense to get, for that backlink. And those are valuable backlinks today. It's not, and it is a little bit, but, how's the domain authority on the site? It's like, how relevant is that audience? And are there actually going to be sales coming through that? That's really what we look for a lot in our backlink building. It's can that audience buy from us? If it was just referral traffic, forget the bonus of the we'll call it link juice, if you will, to the SEO site. Is that traffic going to buy from us? Are they going to take action? And those are the backlinks that start shooting us through the roof, and it's going to help us win out of the long term, if that makes sense.
So this is like a new world. Like the metrics, it's like it seems parallel. Like what you're describing seems the same across these different things. Like I don't know, like all these fuckers were always like content is king and all this bullshit, right? I didn't really ever understand. Like I'm a Rippalander guy. Write good ads, optimize data. And then recently with more of this geek out shit, I've understood the quality of actual content, and user experience. Like I finally get it. It's not like my enemy. It's more of like something that's actually good. And once you go with that flow, it's like really tight. And obviously that's what you're doing if the people are engaging with your SEO site. Do you ever run paid to the SEO site?
Paid traffic to our SEO sites?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we do that a lot too, because and again, so I know Josh, my partner, is going to speak a lot on brand building. And one of the things I'll talk about, just the value of having an SEO site, is even take a Facebook ad you're running, and then someone, like the amount of traffic that media buyers forget, that people are just opening a new tab, searching literally the page name, and then go into the site that way. It's ridiculous. The number of people that don't just, they see a Facebook ad and they might go do some research on their own. So to have even just the credibility of the SEO site alone helps, ROI on our media buys. Even if just that was the only value to running to the paid traffic to the SEO sites, it pays off a tremendous amount.
Yeah, dude, for this one, I don't know, like I'm a dumbass. I didn't do it last time, but I started spending on Google more on keywords and shit. And I've received a lot of sales, which is so. I didn't know.
For your brand keywords, you mean?
I'm running remarketing and display and all this shit, and I wasn't even running surge. And when I did, I was like, wow, people do actually look, because they come back and buy, especially like your financial products. Yeah. It's going to be a few times before they dig in and want to deal with that financial situation. Let's talk about asset value of SEO sites. How do they value these things?
Yeah, great. You're just saying when you're going to sell, or how do we value
building your brand assets? Okay, so you're building up your SEO sites. Let me go back. What's cool with your model is you're making money on an investment. It's like you have a rental property that's a cash machine on top of a long-term investment, which is the sale of the asset, and it seems like they feed each other. So what I'm asking is, how do they value them? And then the fact that you're driving some of your own traffic to, you're driving your own revenue to it, aren't you actually able to grow your own brand asset?
Absolutely. So I'll first, let me comment on how we value a potential acquisition and what we're willing to pay, or what we're able to turn it around for, and kind of the steps. And I'll go deeper when we're in Barcelona. But essentially, when we're looking at a potential acquisition, we're not just looking at where does it rank, how much traffic does it get. There's a lot of added spillover that I don't think a lot of people look at in potential acquisitions. One could be email lists alone. You can make your money back on just the potential of the email list the individual has. And then instead of sending, Mary Jo might own let's just call it, we'll get in the addiction space. We'll just say that Mary Jones, a blog that talks about how her son became sober or something like that, right? And she's getting whatever, let's call it, tens of thousands of people through SEO traffic. She's ranking for what to look for when my son's on heroin, or stuff like that. And she might have an email list built up that all she's doing is when she puts out a new blog post, or she puts out a new post on how to support your child or something like that. All it is it's just like it's just a feed that's just popping out. So hey, a new blog post went out.
MailChimp.
Now all of a sudden you get right, exactly. MailChimp, just boom. Yep, something went out today, versus an actual sales-driven, whatever, action-driven. In this case, we'll just say you're driving leads for rehab facilities or something like that. Getting a sales copywriter to come in and actually write some, an email funnel together, a sequence that is going to drive people to take action. That alone, you can make your money back right there, depending on the site, and forget about anything else. The site could crash tomorrow and never go up again, but just the email list, Two is the Facebook community potentially, and this hopefully hits home with a lot of media buyers. It's like, dude, you might have a page, and again too, that has 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 likers on it, and you're able to leverage that in a lot of different ways. amongst, again, giving your page credibility, because you don't think people are clicking on your page when you're running an ad. They're going through, looking at your page, seeing what you posted, seeing how big the community is, how credible you are, before they buy or they take action, things like that. That's got added value as well too. And then the email list, again, you can upload as a lookalike audience. I'm just trying to think in terms of like Facebook media buyers that I assume a lot of people are on here too. All of a sudden now you've got a great audience you can upload, and you can either market to or create lookalikes on, things like that. So those are all things among just added assets that we're acquiring. I think we'll also take the idea of just even the traffic the site's getting. Is it the right type of customer, right? Like if it's like, how motivated are they? Again, back to that example, if it's a bunch of moms whose kids are addicted to drugs. I don't know how many people know the rehab space, but they have to have the right type of insurance. That's actually a home run for someone who's got a kid that's under the age of 26, because they're still under the parents' insurance, things like that. So in this example, just to catch everyone up to speed, why that's a valuable person. But is it that type of person, or is it an addict themselves who's looking up, who might be on welfare or something like that? It's like which one's got higher value?
Look at the audience.
Yeah, exactly. Look at who the people coming to the site are. Exactly. So those we're all looking at. And then how are they monetizing today? Like that lady might not be monetizing at all, or maybe she's got display. She's got freaking banner ads all over her site, where all of a sudden now we can plug her into, just talking to affiliates here, we can plug them into an offer and potentially 10x that site literally overnight just with the traffic it has. So those are all things we're looking at within the acquisition, and we're kind of able to reverse model. If we had X conversion rates off that traffic, what would that turn into revenue? Boom, what are we able to pay for the site? Things like that. So a lot of it, you're not, I shouldn't say guesstimating, but there is, you're usually able to reverse engineer what kind of ROI you're going to get in there quickly.
Wow. When you go to, in this example, it's like a woman with a blog, she has a lot of followers, etc.
Yeah.
When you go to her to pick this up, do you ever cut them deals where like, we want you to continue to produce content, or do you just let them walk away?
Potentially. I mean, we've done that in the past. The only issue sometimes is if you're making the right acquisition, like that's a great example. It's like a mom or something like that that's going to cash in. We might write a 6-figure check to her, and she's like, "Oh my God, this site's never made 6 figures ever," or whatever, or it only makes 10 grand a year, 20 grand a year, whatever it is. That's the type of person that's usually like, if it's a really good piece of property, we'll call it, they probably have like really strong ties to it. So sometimes it's like ripping, taking their baby from them in a way, just transparently speaking. So saying, hey, you wanna hang out even though we kind of own your baby now. Like sometimes there's some like, I don't know, mixed blood's not the right word, but there's other times depending on the individual where it's incredibly phenomenal, especially if people are following that woman, or in this example, like her voice, like for her to just disappear overnight, like it's an exodus. It's like, Jesus is like, boom, everybody, and we've experienced that as well too. So it depends on the situation and the person, but there's sometimes where there's value, and there's sometimes where it's not really good for the long term, and it might be better just to get a new voice in there or to get someone else. So that's another thing too. Is we've learned that lesson the hard way. Like I said too, if the person's voice is tied to the SEO site, if you will, all of a sudden you kind of rip her out. It's like the ciphers all leave. But
it's almost like a face of the brand. It's like an influencer.
Exactly. Which, again, on the flip side, real quick, it gets back to adding the value of owning a property, an SEO property, having a face to it, or having an actual brand versus, setting up a Facebook page and a domain that sounds nice when you're running Facebook ads too. There's value to that too. People actually following the brand, because, we talked about how many more marketing touches it's taking for someone to actually take action. And, if you're leading them to a brand where they can be touched multiple times for layman's terms versus, a hit Facebook ad and then you're out, it's like, how valuable are the people you're getting? How valuable are the sales that are coming there? How nurture are they? It's almost like the first girl you meet, you marry, versus, you nurture it and find out if this is the right, first date you marry, or versus is this the right person? This is the one I want to be with. Like, it's more work and more effort, but at the end of the day, you end up with the right, partner in this example versus like, first date, you're like, hey, you want to get married? And all of a sudden now turns out that the girl or gal, you hate her, so.
Let me ask you a question about this.
Yeah.
What really is like the the downside of SEO then, right? Like it seems like, okay, it requires cost, but everything does require some time. What's the downside of this?
Yeah, great question. I think if someone were to look at it, or what the biggest barrier for individuals are, it's the time, right? Like some people think, they hear and they see, and it's true. You and I just bought a domain, off freaking whatever Namecheap tomorrow, and we try to rank it for addiction. Like, yeah, it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort, and a big team. And it's like, that's scary. I'd rather just throw up a Facebook ad and make money off that. But I think what one kind of not why I think this talk's going to be so valuable is cutting down some of those reservations, whether it's the amount of money you need to invest in it, or the time, or the team you need, and I'll provide some examples of just ways you can kind of outsource some of those efforts, or again, even just acquiring a site. All of a sudden, you could buy yourself 5 years and $1 million worth of efforts, and how many thousands of hours of man hours. So I think that's the biggest downfall, is going about it the traditional way, and especially when you're getting started, that is a huge scare versus logging into Facebook and throwing up an ad and you're live within 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably the biggest downfall, if you will. But I'd argue the upside is tremendous to that, and that it's not as scary to get involved as it appears on the surface, or as I think a lot of people make it seem.
Dude, I'm so pumped for you to talk, and I'm gonna definitely give the shout out to the event here. Anthony and his partner Josh are going to be speaking in Barcelona, along with other really just gangster dudes. Like, this is the real deal content. You can see just speaking, like, and hearing the level of detail and sophistication that Anthony talks about his craft. He's obviously top notch at it, and that's the key to this Geek Out thing, is just to have that proper social proof, so people understand that these are really high level people. And honestly, I was scared of SEO myself until talking to him a bit. It always seemed much more, but obviously when I see the results now, it makes me even want to do it. We really want you guys to come out and check this shit out in Barcelona, but I do need to say we are almost sold out of the VIP tickets, which oddly sell like, I think, hotcakes comparatively to the regular tickets. We didn't even book a big room. It's our first event. I think we're going to have room for like 100, maybe a little bit more than that. But I really feel like we're going to sell out of it fairly quickly. So if you guys are thinking about going to the event, I would hit up Purple Knowledge Lab and get yourself a ticket and whatnot. All right, let's go back here a sec, Anthony. SEO for e-com. Does that make sense, or how does that work? Like, I see the application with lead gen, but what's up with e-com?
Yeah, I mean, you could even potentially make an argument it makes more sense. For our lead gen stuff, a lot of times people aren't. It's not that big of a commitment, if you will, right? Like, they're dialing a phone number, or they're filling out a form for more info, versus taking out their credit card and actually making a purchase. So I'd argue potentially that the number of touches that it takes for that to turn that person from cold to actual acquisition, whatever that is, for you and I in a lead gen format, it's a phone call, or it's a form fill. For e-commerce brands, it's like I said, it's actually making a purchase. And then there's after that, and we try and do it on the lead gen side as well too. You and I talk about, but it's what happens after that lead too. What's the lifetime value of that? And I think specifically a lot of lead generators, it happens and that's it. And then for e-commerce too, a lot of brands. I mean, we had one of our brands literally double. And my partner will talk to it more, but just by focusing on the customers we already have and the traffic we already had, and just upselling them, or just staying with them. So the point of me saying all that is SEO for e-commerce. It's important to have higher quality traffic. It's important to be able to get them roped into a net, which is called an SEO property, where they can join the email list. It can be retargeted from the traffic. They can read multiple articles. They can educate themselves. So I'd actually value, or argue, it's got higher value.
Hold on 1 second.
You gotta grab that, bro.
I gotta let my wife in.
You're good. Oh. No, you're good. Do your thing.
Hello. 1 second, Anthony. If you guys have questions, hit Anthony up.
Where do they come, in this bottom left thing? Take those as yes.
Sorry about that.
Good.
Real people, real shit. 24/7. Gotta let the
Good,
white
bro.
department.
You're good. I hear you, bro.
Yo, so when you talk about the SEO stuff with the lead gen and the idea of buying an audience, going back to like the addiction lead,
Yep.
Would it make sense? I'm an e-com guy. I'm selling all the yoga, hippy dippy, metaphysical type products, crystal stuff. Does it make sense to go in there and buy SEO sites to pitch those products?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, one of the things I'll talk about too is even just going through the acquisition process of trying to acquire a site, you can create a lot of we'll just call it distribution partners as well too that can pitch your product. Whether it's you accidentally start creating affiliates because you're trying to buy their site, they don't want to sell, something like that, but they understand your product, or you say, okay, well, you don't want to sell, but hey, here's how you can plug in my product and monetize your site better, things like that, backlinks, whatever it is. So even just going through these steps of potential acquisition, if you don't actually make that acquisition, you create incredible partnerships with them. I mean, if you're talking to the right type of sites, they're the right type of people that you want to be talking to, for lack of better words. That that totally makes sense. A little bit of a tongue twister, but if even if you don't end up actually closing that, the acquired site, just creating those relationships are massive. But yeah, it absolutely makes sense to go acquire SEO sites for those communities. And like I said, same principles as the lead gen, except I think it's probably even more important, in my opinion, to do it on the e-commerce side, just because you got someone pulling out a credit card versus it's a higher intent or higher what's the word I'm looking for, commitment for the actual customer than you or I might be on a phone call or a phone call.
Anthony, as you know, my wifey just came home. It's very early by you in Newport. I'm sure you're doing like your chill guy shit today with your lady or something. When am I going to see you? When am I going to see you before Barcelona? Are you going to come and see me in Paris, or am I just going to see you there? What's the deal?
No, I'm going to be there. I think I'm going to be there 2 days before the event in Barcelona. So I'll be hanging out. Now you're going to be in Paris, and then what day do you head over?
I think on the 14th or 15th. I'm a flake. I'm not sure. It's either the 14th or 15th that I come over to. So same as you, 2 days early.
Yeah, perfect.
Gotta get me that Jay-Z Beyonce with the wifey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know, bro. I'm jealous. You guys are gonna have a blast.
So funny. All right, dude. Listen, thank you so much for dropping all this. Really, it's very detailed stuff, and I really appreciate it. It made me actually quite a bit more interested in SEO. I'm sure everybody else loved it. Also, you guys, thank you for hanging out. If you got any questions, drop it into the chat, and Anthony and I will follow up with you guys, and hopefully we will see you in Barcelona on live stream or in person. Anthony, have a great day, sir.
Later, bro. See you guys.